Welcome back. Today we're going to do 35.5 and 35.6. And again, you'll be filling out a Venn diagram of the difference between rich and poor Romans. So as we're reading, if you see something, you may want to pause and write it down while it's fresh in your head. Vocabulary word on 35.5 is paterfamilias, the oldest male of a Roman household. His word was law for the family. Typically, it'd be a father. If he passed away, his oldest son would take over. If there was no son, it might be an uncle. The picture at the bottom for young men and women in Rome getting married was a step into adulthood. So family life. Family life in Rome was ruled by the paterfamilias, or father of the family. A Roman father's word was law in his own home. Even his grown sons and daughters had to obey him. Roman men were expected to provide for the family. In richer families, husbands often held well-paid political positions. In poor families, both husbands and wives had to work in order to feed and care for themselves and their children. Wealthy Roman women ran their households. They bought and trained the family slaves. Many had money of their own and were active in business. They bought and sold property. Roman babies were usually born at home. The Romans kept only strong, healthy babies. If the father didn't approve of a newborn, it was left outside to die or to be claimed as a slave. Romans found it strange that other people, such as the Egyptians, raised all their children. Babies were named in a special ceremony when they were 9 days old. A good luck charm called a bulla was placed around the baby's neck. Children wore their bullas throughout childhood. Between the ages of 14 and 18, a Roman boy celebrated becoming a man. In a special ceremony, he offered his bulla along with his childhood toys and clothes to the gods. Roman girls did not have a ceremony to mark the end of childhood. They became adults when they married, usually between the ages of 12 and 18. Weddings were held at a temple. The bride wore a white toga with a long veil. The groom also wore a white toga along with leather shoes that he had shined with animal fat. But the new husband did not become a paterfamilias until his own father died. So the book is pretty clear when it's rich or poor. If they don't specify rich or poor, it means that it was true for all Romans. So it would go in the middle section. So go ahead and fill out the section for that. You can pause the video. And we will continue with section 35.6. Food and drink. What Romans cooked and ate depended on whether they were rich or poor. Only the rich had kitchens in their home. The poor cooked on small grills and depended on fast food places called thermopylae, where people could buy hot and cold foods that were ready to eat. So thermopylae was fast food. They could go and get a meal that was already prepared. Even the rich often bought their daytime meals at thermopylae because the service was fast and convenient. The main foods in ancient Rome were bread, beans, spices, a few vegetables, cheeses, and meats. Favorite drinks included plain water and hot water with herbs and honey. For breakfast, Romans usually ate a piece of bread and a bowl of beans or porridge. Porridge was an oatmeal-like cereal made from grains like barley or wheat. Lunch might include a small bit of cheese and bread, and perhaps some olives or celery. For dinner, poor Romans might have chunks of fish along with some asparagus and a fig for dessert. Wealthy Romans ate more elaborate dinners. Besides the main part of the meal, they had special appetizers. Some favorites, you're going to love this, guys. Some favorites were mice cooked in honey, roasted parrots stuffed with dates, salted jellyfish, and snails dipped in milk. I sure hope you're listening to this right before lunchtime. Roman markets offered many choices to those who could afford them. Wealthy Roman women or their slaves shopped for the perfect foods for fancy dinner parties. Merchants often kept playful monkeys or colorful birds on display to attract customers. Shelves were packed with fruits, live rabbits, chickens, geese, baskets of snails, and cuts of meat. Large clay jars were filled with a salty fish sauce called garum that the Romans liked to pour over the main dish at dinner. And this is a carving of one of the marketplaces, and you can see the monkeys up there, meat, or it looks like maybe chickens hanging behind them, fresh fruit. So in Rome's bustling marketplace, merchants sold many kinds of food and other goods. So once again, take a moment, go back into the reading, rich and poor. Go ahead and mark it on your Venn diagram. And that is all for today.